Hi guys, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom with Kelly and Kimberly. Today we have the honor of having David with us. Hello, David and Kimberly.
Yay!
Yay.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello, David.
That's good.
So today we're going
to finally meet you, Kim.
Nice to meet you, David.
So today we're going to talk about discernment and using discernment in our circles of truthers, the truther movement, and in our circle of the spiritual community, because it has become noticeable to the three of us and probably many more people over the course of the last few months, particularly, that some of the people in our circles are maybe not who they seem to be. Now, we're not going to name names, so don't even bother to ask, because we're not going to do that stuff. But we want to talk to all of you about using discernment and how to do that. So, Kimberly, would you like to start? No pressure.
Oh, me? I get to start? Yeah, no pressure. Thanks. Well, I think that, the biggest thing is any I don't even know where to begin. I've listened to a lot of people since really my huge wake up in 2019. I mean, I began to wake up in 2012. I think many people did, but I just, bombarded myself with so much information and watching so many videos and listening to so many people and different tarot readers and different spiritual people and all that, which was all good. But I began to, there were some that I resonated more with than others. And then even in that, I found myself having to step back, because I would find someone maybe that I'd listened to for a while that I really resonated with. It was for a time or a season. And then I just, had to step away from that. But with some, it would be, I had followed them or listened to them for a while, and it didn't set right, and I began to ask questions and question answers. And then I just knew, for me, in my knowing, that's the important thing. You have to be in alignment with your knowing. Okay. That gut feeling, that hesitation, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. Right. If something doesn't set well with you, right, listen to that.
Absolutely.
Listen to it.
So and
I think we have a.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know that you and I talked about that. You don't ever want to be, and this is no judgment to anybody. Like you said, we're not here to name and shame anybody. We would never do that.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
Not anything about that. That's a very negative, wrong spirited energy. I just, don't resonate with that and don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. Right.
But, you have to listen to that knowing. And I think you were going to ask me something with that.
I was going to ask you if you could maybe go through like a little bit of a checklist about how people could use discernment. What would they look for? What would you recommend that they pay attention to within themselves to use discernment?
Well, within themselves, if you've been connected with someone, and a connection is energetically, if you're following them or watching their material or their content, or it could even be a person that you may be in a relationship with. If you are depleted after being around that energy, you walk away in doubt and confusion or fear. There's a lot of fearful content that's put out there. I would say the fear, the confusion, any doubt, and something that just makes you feel depleted. Those things, that negative energy that begins, to attach itself to you. If you walk away just like, oh, why did I even watch this? Or why did I listen to this? I'm not resonating with that at all. Sometimes it's almost a panic feeling inside. Right. Well, those are all very big red flags, you know.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And we can't
And
necessarily
some may be more severe. Yeah.
go ahead.
Some may be stronger than others. It may be just a little like, you know, I don't know about that, you know. And
Yeah.
other times it may be like just a huge warning inside.
Right. David, what about you? What would you advise people to look for to be able to tell if they should continue to follow certain people and to use discernment for who really is telling the truth and, you know, on, I don't even know how to word that really. How would you word that? Got their heart in the right place?
Yeah, no, I think to reiterate what Kim was saying, it's really, we use this discernment in not just in day to day, really, with everything. It can be a person, like a relationship. It could be someone you're following. It could very well be the mainstream media. And I think one of the biggest things, if we just apply that thinking to all areas of life, then
Yeah.
we get in touch with ourselves at a much deeper level, and what really truly aligns with, not necessarily like what we believe, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to challenge your belief system. That's how that's just going to happen. But
Right.
more so to I guess sift through all of what you're consuming or what you're experiencing to find what really does truly align with you, you know. Because we all have that inner knowing, whether we know it or not. We do have this inner knowing that we should attempt to tap into, and I'm still working on that, in many ways, but it's there for us to experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I think we need to listen to our inner self, our higher self, and the vibrations that we're feeling from certain people. Well, all people, but certain ones are going to make us feel different than others would, and we need to pay attention to that. And I think we're all probably guilty of not necessarily using those feelers all the time, because some people, we just assume that they're coming from the right place. And if we're seeking for the truth, regardless of who it is, whether it's someone in the truther movement, spirituality movements, or someone you're in a relationship within your circle, your 6 degrees. Some people, we just naturally want to listen to what they have to say and not use any discernment. And then other people, we know we should be leery of them and to really pay attention to the feedback that's happening within us. But we need to be applying that with everyone, because there's lots of people that say really pretty things, but don't really have your best interest at heart. They're a con artist, for lack of a better way to describe them. And I think it's very important that people not just listen to every single person out there, including me, including David, including Kimberly. Don't just simply listen to us and go along with what we say. Use that bullshit radar within you. Use that true vibratory response that your body is sending you in feedback to really kind of gauge, should I continue to listen to this person or not? Because like Kimberly was saying, sometimes for a season, you kind of dig somebody and it feels right to listen to what they have to say or to follow them or whatever. And then all of a sudden something might change that kind of strikes you different. And you need to pay attention to that. Really be aware of that, because in our movement at this time, at this moment in time, when we're in this great awakening, and we already know that their tentacles are in everything that we do anyway, and everything we've believed and everything we've been taught and know about. why wouldn't they try to infiltrate the truther movement, the spiritual ascension that people are, going through? That would be target number one. So I really think that it's almost urgently important that people become very aware of their biological feedback that's happening in that vibration and really start to use discernment with who you're following. Be careful who you follow. That's a quote we should all know by now, right? Be careful who you follow, and beware of false prophets.
Yes. And I think, what better way, like you said, Kelly, for the dark to kind of sneak into the light. You get to know your enemy and you get close to him and you study him. And we know in this spiritual warfare that we're in, the dark really wants to siphon.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's so easy to be deceived by someone, like you said, who's out there and popular and has a big following or whatever. And they may not have a big following, but it's somebody, that, you think they're really of the light and they're doing and saying all the right things. But that could be the plan, to
right.
come in and harvest energy, harvest an energy resource. And if you don't think that that's happening in this spiritual battle, then that's a great deception for sure.
Yes.
I mean, because I've been deceived. I've followed some, like you said, and I've known that, well, this was just a season for me to follow the person, and I resonated with them, and they're an awesome person and they have a great work that they're doing, but I just don't resonate with it. And an example of that is I followed a couple of twin flame oracle readers. They're wonderful people. I think they're doing a wonderful work. And in that season of my life, I needed to hear those things. But then I kind of went through that season and I didn't need that anymore. And I just moved on, and I just don't listen to that as much anymore. But then there's been others that I listened to them and I thought I'm resonating with them. And then some things would come up and I would just be like, no, I don't think that I'm resonating with that. And not only do I think that I'm resonating with that, I don't know if it's the introvert in me, the empath, but I've really learned over these last 2 years to really protect my energy.
Right.
And I listen to that when I feel that flag come up. It's like, okay, I've just got to back off. And I need to protect myself, and not in a fearful way, because you also have to know your power and that you're very powerful. And the light definitely trumps the dark, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But you are powerful, and that's what they want from you. And they especially want that power that you have with your functioning of your heart center and your creativity, because they can't create.
That's right.
And they're missing that heart center.
That's right.
So I think those are things that we really need to be aware of and really see this. Go beyond all the stuff that's happening. It's all there. It's all real. And those are things that we need to be informed on. And yes, stay in tune on informed, but not fearful. But look beyond that with your spiritual eyes and really see the battle going on there.
Right. So David, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a question here. How would you advise the audience to use their discernment between giving someone the benefit of the doubt when something they do or say strikes you a little wrong, and really taking heed to something that struck you as odd, that someone that you would follow, or think a lot of, or whatever? How would you personally use your discernment to decide between the two? Like, do you give them the benefit of the doubt, or do you look at this a little harder?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I kind of have the same question in many ways. Like, how do we know sometimes it's really obvious. Sometimes you watch somebody, and I've watched somebody for a lot of last year who kept saying a number of things, and And then I kind of pieced it all together, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to follow that person anymore, because it seems as though necessarily the information that it just didn't seem right to me. So, and I watch some of their videos from time to time now even, but it's, once every month or something, just to see what's going on. But it's interesting because, sometimes, we have these people in the community who are not who they say they are, I'm sure. And I think sometimes it depends on how the start of the journey, like with somebody that I'm thinking of, it's almost as if that person has changed recently. I don't know if that person has always been of the dark or is of the dark. I'm just, it's just, they may not be, but it seems as though their behavior has changed in recent times. But I'm wondering, like, have they been infiltrated, or have they always been with that agenda at play? And I don't know, but I think to answer your question, it's a tough one, because sometimes people may say something that when you're hearing a certain thing, let's just take for instance, we've lived our entire life. Just pretend you watch the mainstream media for 20 years or something. You lived your entire life watching the media, and then all of a sudden, and I see this in people that I know. They have this one idea of the world, of how things work, and then you come in with a different idea, and it causes cognitive dissonance. So how do you know that that's not just a thing that you don't want to hear that this person is saying, or how do you know that it's
Right.
something that doesn't resonate with you for a different reason?
Yeah,
It's a tough one.
it is a tough one. It is. But I think that we need to really listen to ourselves, and like with anything else, pay attention to where your body is tensing up. Pay attention to the way that this vibration feels
Yeah.
to you, and really ask yourself why. Why am I feeling this way? Is it me? Is it because I refuse to come outside of my belief system? Or is it something that they're doing and that they're saying that really is rubbing me the wrong way? Like, from a moral type almost standpoint. I think we really have to start asking ourselves that question more often. Like, why do I respond this way? Is it for me? Is it because of something I need to let go of and be more open to? Or is it because this is innately wrong and I'm only aware of it on my soul level? And it is a tough thing to delineate between. And that's why I think it's so.
Actually, I have something to add.
Go
as
ahead.
well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so there were two people that I watched videos of recently who I watched one of their videos once last year, and that was interesting because they were speaking about something very important, and then but I watched another one recently, and at the same time I watched another one of this other person, and they were both very fear-based videos, and it put me into this bit of a tailspin. So this entire journey, I could probably say there's only been 2 or 3 times that I ever since the thing started kicked off last year, there've only been 2 or 3 times where I've actually felt fearful, and one of them was a few weeks ago, and so I stopped watching them, obviously, because it was not doing me any good, and I think if anything, it may not necessarily be a case of cognitive dissonance, but if it makes you feel bad, just don't do it. If it makes you feel bad, don't be attracted to it, because, and I understand there's a fine line between being prepared and being fearful about what could happen. Yes, you want to know, but you don't need to get absorbed into the food shortages and all that stuff. And yet they may happen. Yeah, of course they may happen, but you can know that they may happen and be prepared for it without having to just feed into the fear, right?
Right. Absolutely. And I think too, on the other side of that coin of discernment, not just with listening to the way that you feel when it feels bad, but also maybe be a little more careful in questioning yourself about, why do I follow this person, that person, the other person? Are they really resonating with you, or are they entrancing you? Because we have to keep in mind that this is a war between good and evil, and they have the ability to hypnotize and seduce, with their alluring ways of getting people hooked into watching them. And so I would also like for the audience to think about, do I follow this specific person because they're alluring and attractive, or is it because they really speak truth that resonates with me, or is it something in there, like, are they looking at you like this, so they're trying to hypnotize you? I mean, that's a serious thing, because vampires are real, guys. Reptilians are real, and they will use that kind of shit on you. That is real.
Yeah. I think you're right, saying the seduction, that, you can be spiritually seduced, and it's just, it's it's that energy, that taking of your energy, or trying to.
Yeah.
And it also, that can happen depending on how protective you are of your energy or not, so that's very real. Sometimes you just don't agree with people. I mean, disagreeing with someone, that's not what we're talking about. I mean, friends disagree with one another.
Sure.
That's not the subject matter here. It goes much deeper than that. So I was going to say something else and I forgot. So go ahead. I think David was going to say something. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I did have something, but I also forgot. So,
Oh,
but, no.
Oh, now I'm rubbing off on him.
Okay, well,
it's true.
Go ahead.
I think for anybody watching, there's a bit of a delay. My internet is pretty unstable, so that's why we keep. It seems like we keep talking over each other. But I wanted to speak on what Kim said, and that's. Oh fuck! I've forgotten now. We can definitely edit this part out.
I don't think we should. I like the raw.
I've infiltrated David with my.
No.
I've infiltrated David with my absenteeism.
That's what it is.
My absent-minded. Yeah.
No, if you can't cut out my cough, we're not cutting out your oh fuck, I forgot what I'm saying stuff.
That's right.
You're gonna ruin my image.
I like us raw and uncut. It's good. It's good.
The best image is authentic. Be authentic.
That's right. Well, while the two of you are getting your brains back together, I just want to add to what we're talking about here. When we say, are you following somebody because they're attractive? I was just sitting here looking at David and thinking about all the women that follow him. And it's because he's a good looking man. Okay. So I'm not saying don't follow David just because he's good looking. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, listen to what the people are actually teaching you, guiding you to believe, whatever. And if that doesn't resonate with you, then really take a harder look at, why do I follow this specific person? Or why do I listen to what this person says to me? Is it really because they're just being seductive and alluring? Because that is a very real thing. And just for, any boneheads out there, kind of like my disclosure for the hot coffee at the drive-thru, it's going to burn you, all the boneheads out there. I just want you to know, I'm not saying don't watch David because he's pretty.
And we mean that in the most loving way
The
if
most-
you're a bonehead.
The most loving way.
Because I can be that at times.
Me too. I will admit
Yeah.
quicker than anybody that I could be a bonehead, and David knows very well now. I can be very blonde. Blonde.
Yeah, we all have bonehead moments. That's just part of being human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Did that
actually, I wanted to ask you guys a question, and that is for, like, let's just pretend that there's a person who comes across all good and nice and tells you the information you want to hear. Like, where's the deception, or not necessarily where's the deception, but where's the agenda of, like, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a person that I followed last year with off, and they're not in the spiritual community. They're not a coach or anything. They're in a completely different industry. And the reason I stopped following that person is because they were just all about the fear and the NWO and stuff. And it was very fresh. And I was like, no, I don't want to listen to this. So my question is, like, if somebody's not talking about that and somebody's talking about the golden age and all this stuff, like, then where's the, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the, and if that person is not of the light, then where's the kind of, you know, like, that's very difficult to discern. And it's also very,
The gauge.
like, are they just going to flip at some point, you know? Are they just going to flip at some point and then go all satanic on us? Or, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think they're gonna flip.
Well, I think there's
I don't think they will flip
Go
and
ahead,
go
Kelly.
satanic necessarily. I think that they're so very good at the con game that they'll stay with the con game until they get caught, or until, you
okay, I
know,
found it. Okay, yeah.
until the jig is up, whatever that means. Like, it's the end of the game, or someone's called them out. And see, that's another thing I want to talk about, is people who you think are like of the light, or truthers, or anything, like anybody, any genre of information that they're informing you of, pretty much. But when they get triggered, but particularly in the spiritual arena, if they get triggered and they are making comments that are defensive and borderline nasty or belligerent even, you know, people should take heed to that, because no, we're not all perfect, and yes, we all get pissed at things, but this is not, like, when you're talking spirituality and you're trying to show people the light, the last thing the people listening to you should expect to see from you is you being triggered. And I'm just going to drop my mic right there and y'all can talk.
Well, I think that's a good point, Kelly, because David's like saying, well, how do you know what's like the little clue? Do they just, you know, go postal on you all of a sudden? I think it's a little more subtle than that. And I can tell you that both you and I have seen it's all of a sudden the message was this. And then, like you said, they're being triggered over things that you would think, why is that triggering them? And then you even see them turn on someone else and want to attack somebody else in the community. I think that kind of thing that you see start to manifest, that's when you can really begin to question, because like you say, none of us are perfect. We're all going to have our moments. We're all going to have our struggles.
Yeah.
Can you voice can you speak your truth? Of course. But you always want it to be, if you are of the light, it's always going to be coming from love and compassion. It's not going to be coming from, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm offended.
Right.
I want to slam you. I want to out you. I just don't
Right.
believe that's true,
Because,
of anyone who's of the light.
right. Because if you are of the light, and even a whole lot of truthers feel this way too, they have the utmost respect for someone else's opinion, even if it doesn't match
Right.
theirs. You can have your
Right.
opinion.
Even if they
I'll
don't
have
agree with
mine.
it.
You
Right.
can have your opinions of me.
Right.
You can even speak them publicly
Right.
or comment in my YouTube videos or whatever, and you're not going to trigger me.
Right.
Right. And I can even
Right.
use myself as a perfect example of that, because David, who just popped out and left us, had once put me on the spot. And I'll pause just a minute, wait for him to come back in. Are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry guys. It just, yep, I
Okay.
can. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear your mic drop moment. I didn't hear barely anything that Kimberly said afterwards. So
Damn it.
Oh,
All right.
man.
Well, so I was just saying that I was going to use myself as an example. When I was on David's show and he put me on the spot and had me do tarot for current affairs, current events, and it was out of my comfort zone. And it was obvious that I was feeling awkward about it, and that, I didn't do stellar. I'm no Janine. I'm no tarot by Janine. I'm not trying to be, and someone made a comment in his comment section, that, they would rather Janine did it than me. And it didn't trigger me. It wasn't something I was upset about. I was completely respectful of their opinion.
Mhm.
Again, I was on another show and talking about meat eaters versus vegetarians versus vegans. And I personally am a meat eater.
Mhm.
And someone made a kind of belligerent comment toward me about that. And again, I, respected their opinion and their side of the story, and it didn't trigger me. And we should all be watching for that with anybody that we're listening to or following, because you're going to have people that have a difference of opinion than you do, and they're going to want to be verbal about it. And some of them may not even be very nice about it. And, you don't have to be a saint to be respectful of other people's opinions and not get triggered
Right.
and react with
Right.
with nastiness, And we've seen a few people recently who've been reacting with quite belligerent nastiness. And what do we say about the black hats versus the white hats? When you're over the target, right, it triggers them. So
Right.
people should just pay attention to that. David, are you okay? Are you with us?
I am. Yeah, I'm just listening because it's breaking up, and I'm kind of piecing it all together. So
Well, one of the things I had said, David, if you missed the mic drop, was that everybody can speak their truth, speak their mind, have their own opinion, and want to be heard, have their voice heard. But I think in the spiritual community, if you come from a genuine heart, it's going to be out of love and compassion. It doesn't have to be, this is my opinion and I'm right, you're wrong. It doesn't have to be, I'm a light worker, now this has triggered me and now I want to call this other person out. I don't think that in this community, it's of a positive, loving, flowing energy to attack one another. And so I think when you see someone, especially if they're on a big platform, speaking a message of light, and then all of a sudden you see that start to turn and you see more negative comments, you see where they're being triggered more, you see maybe where they've come out against another person. To me, that's a big red flag of discernment for you. And I think it's something to pay attention to. You don't have to react. You certainly don't want to then go on the attack of that person. You just kind of want to take it in, you want to pay attention to it, and then trust your knowing on what to do then. You know, if you feel like you can go ahead and follow them and you want to watch them for a while, that's up to you. You know, no judgment at all. But I know for me and my own experience and some I followed most recently, for me, I knew I had to step away, and I knew it was the best for me to do, because I just could not resonate or support that, you know, in any way.
Right. Or name calling, when they call people out, specific
Right.
people, and try to slam on them, and they're supposed to
Right.
be of the light, or, you know, doing this from a good place.
If you're doing that and you're professing to be of the light and from a good platform, you're really not any different than what the dark force, deep state news media is. You're not any different from that. You've kind of gone into that energy. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big clue too, you know.
Right. And
I
I
don't know
mean,
if that made sense.
yeah, I think just in general too, we need to all kind of live by the golden rule as mature adults, and just respect each other's opinions and
Mhm.
treat people the way we would want to be treated. What do you think, David?
David.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I am. I'm here. It's just been a bit broken up.
Did you get all that?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, most of it. It's a really good point actually with the triggering, because as your consciousness grows and as you ascend, you get less triggered. So it's interesting that
Right.
you know, it's interesting that for somebody to portray or display, should I say, that the triggered response in a video actually speaks volumes, because they have the ability to cut that bit out. You know, they could easily just say,
Mhm.
you know, if they're better at editing than I am or Kelly is, then they can do it. Like they're, you know, they you know, it's easy to say, oh, you know, mention something, you know what I mean, and not
Yeah.
get triggered on the video when you've had the whole time to prepare
Yeah.
for that
Right.
moment. You know what I mean? You know, maybe it's a live video, maybe it's a bit different, but at the same time, whoever it is should have the awareness and the ability to control those triggers, you know.
Absolutely.
And
That,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's
nobody's
a very
perfect.
good point.
We all get triggered. We all get triggered,
Mhm.
you know, for sure. But it's how you deal with the triggering is what
Yeah.
matters the most.
Exactly. Very good point, David.
I think
I
so
like
too.
that.
Especially when you're doing a video, so you have plenty of time to think about your content for the
Mhm.
video ahead of time. And if that's your focus and that's what you want to address, then you're not really the ascended person that you are trying to portray yourself as, you know. So I think that's a very good point.
And, and I would think too that, you know, think about your followers that maybe they're just waking up, maybe they have no information, maybe they're totally disoriented, you know, in their awakening.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility to them to
Mhm.
want to be holding a space for them, facilitating for them. And like David said, if you're doing that, okay, be prepared. I know even before this video, us just coming on and talking about real things, just, you know, took some time, gathered my thoughts, you know, meditated, prayed a little bit. So you, as that light worker and having the channel or any social media platform, think about those things about your followers, you know, that there are many people out there hurting, wounded, confused, and they're looking
Right.
at you for answers. I mean, we don't have all the answers, but we can be real and raw with them and loving and compassionate. and
Right.
helping them and empowering them in their journey. You and I are all about empowering people, reminding them who they are, about stepping into their power, equipping them. So, and I think many light workers out there are. So it just keeps coming into my presence right now about us really being mindful of our followers out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I say it to myself. I say it to myself, you know, too. I would never want to. Yeah, I may have a bad day and be triggered. I was triggered today. I told you about it, you know, what it was over, but I didn't bring that here tonight
Yeah.
and let that infiltrate my mission and what my platform is all about,
Yeah.
what our mission is all about, you know?
Yeah. Because right, we are all going to get triggered. And if you are growing and learning yourself and ascending spiritually, and you're, especially if you're someone who's trying to teach that to other people, then you should already know that you don't let one trigger affect your whole day or week or month or whatever. And you don't dwell on it. You don't let it, you know, you let it wash over you rather than stick in you. And so yeah, I think that when they have those issues like that, where they want to call someone out or speak belligerently, that they're really not coming from an honest place where they, you know, claim to have been coming from with you. Because even, you know, if something did bother you deeply and you wanted to address it, you would have the wherewithal and the compassion to address that diplomatically, you know, kindly, and say, look, this was a very hurtful thing for someone to say, and I really need to get this off of my chest, and then move on. But, you know, you don't call people out. You don't name names, and you don't call names. Hi, David. Are you doing okay with
Except David, we're calling David's name.
calling David out?
We're calling David out.
Hi guys.
Come back, David.
Sorry about this. Yeah.
That's
Call me out for
okay.
my bad internet connection.
That's okay. Stop feeling bad about it. We love you and we're patient with you.
And that's
Well,
what
and
it's
we're
all
not
about,
talking-
isn't it?
Yes, it
We're
is.
not
Love,
talking
love and
about-
patience
Yes, it is.
and compassion.
Yes, I think it's perfect that you keep blipping out.
Yeah, it adds to the ambience of the subject matter.
It really
But
does.
that keeps it authentic. It keeps it authentic. And we do want to be authentic, you know,
That's right. That's
because
right.
people relate to your authenticness and that we're human, and you know,
Yeah.
because we're just people like everybody else, you know.
Yeah. I'm still watching for fairies in your
But
room.
superhuman. Yeah, I haven't seen any recently. They've
I
been
know,
a
I
bit
haven't
quiet.
either.
I don't know what's going on.
And I've wanted to see one so bad.
Yeah.
I'm so
Cool.
ready.
They're really cool to watch.
If you go back to some of the videos Kelly and I've done, you will see them flying around.
Oh, cool. I have to go
Yeah.
back and look
It's
now.
quite interesting.
Well, they do it in other people's videos too, don't they? When you do videos with other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. There's my last one with Janine. There was at least one, and
Yeah.
the one I did with the guy from Australia, Rudolph. There was quite a few in that one. It was like 4.
I know. I watched that one.
Not all at once.
Right.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I love it.
Hopefully they'll come out to play for you today.
Yeah. Hello,
Yay.
fairies.
I'm like looking at David's background right now.
Yeah. It usually has a little more light to it. It's kind of dark back there. It's kind of dark and ominous. I lit up my closet so you can see my chakra blanket, my tapestry.
I love it. I love it.
That was actually my 6-year-old's idea. She said, you should turn on the light so that everybody can see your chakra guy. And I'm like, good idea.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
that is cool. I just
I
noticed
love
that
that.
one
Yeah,
earlier.
good idea.
Did you have anything to add, David?
Uh, not at this point. No, I think we've, yeah, I'm sure something will come up, but yeah, I'm still kind of, still working things out, obviously, and you see certain people and you don't know necessarily what their agenda is. Sometimes it's plainly obvious, sometimes it isn't so obvious.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, and it really just comes down to trusting yourself, really, doesn't it? It really just comes down to trusting yourself and your intuition
Mm-hmm.
and going with your gut. And because I've been guilty of not trusting myself for a very long period of my time of my life, and it
Yeah.
got me into a lot of trouble in many ways.
Right.
And that's what happens when you don't trust yourself. You find yourself in these interesting situations where if you had just listened to that little voice, then you probably would,
Right.
you would decide that landmine. But we have to learn the hard way sometimes in many ways, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what the whole world is
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
experiencing right now. We're all learning on some level. Does more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even with the three of us, we didn't necessarily trust our own gauge and intuition on some certain people. We had to
Mhm.
ask each other for some feedback, just for like validation that what we were thinking or feeling.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess sometimes that's a good thing, to talk it out with someone.
Yeah.
But I think David's right. We should all learn to really trust that instinct.
Mm-hmm.
God love him. There he goes
Well,
again.
and that's, did
he
he?
blipped again. Sorry, he'll be back.
Well, and if you like you and I've talked about, you can, your intuition is in full function or action or power, like when you and I have talked about dowsing or using the rods or
Yeah.
cards
Yeah,
or
scrying,
whatever.
dowsing.
That's another intuition tool. And if you don't do any of those things, it's okay. You can, anybody can,
Right.
It's just a way to tap in, to your knowing and
Exactly.
confirm it. It confirms
Yes.
things that it should confirm things you're already feeling.
That's right. Yes. It's a good tool to use for confirmation. I agree. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Welcome back, David. We were just talking about confirmation of our own intuition by using dowsing rods and pendulums. What say you? He must not be stable yet. Damn stormy Australian
He said-
weather.
Oh yeah.
He says the fairies confirm it all for him.
Yeah. They probably do. They show up and
They
flit
probably
around.
do.
They flit around behind his head and tell him that he's got some truth going on somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, they mess with my light switch.
And your light switch. Yeah. They're turning his light switch dial. Yeah.
Is that why I can't find things and then I find them?
Could be.
Maybe.
Like things are moved around,
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know.
Does that happen to your crystals and things like that?
Yes.
That happens with crystals?
Happens with crystals, happens with my cards, happens with personal things like, jewelry or, something on my person or my bracelets, that have crystals in them. That happens a lot. And I'll go, I know it was right here. And I even
Do you
said
want
the
to know
other day,
why?
I said, is there a fairy or something here moving this around? Because I've never had that happen before. And then it was like an hour later, it was right back in its place. And there was no one else here. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Do you want to know
wow.
what? Do you want to know why?
Yes.
Yeah, I do want to know why.
Yeah. So I was talking to JD last week, I think it was, and she had the same thing happen to her, and she bought these crystals and she brought them home, and she was still in contact with the person who sold them to her, and then they went missing one day, and she knew that she looked everywhere, and she knew she kept them in this one spot, and then all of a sudden they turned up, and she spoke to the woman who sold them to her, and the woman said that the reason they go missing is because somebody else needed them, and and so they borrowed them. So the crystals go to that wherever they're needed, they go there, and then you became aware of it and you wanted them back. That's when they arrived. So if you
Wow.
kind of, and it I guess it's not surprising that it's happened to your crystals. I don't have any crystals. That it's happening to you as well.
Wow. I
Pretty
never
cool.
thought of that.
Me neither.
That
Yeah,
is very
pretty
cool.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Very cool.
And by the way, guys, JD told me to tell both of you she said hello. She sends her love. She can't wait to see you soon.
Hello, JD.
Yeah.
Hi,
I
JD.
speak to JD quite often.
Yeah.
I was talking to her earlier this morning as well, actually.
I just love her to pieces. She's so sweet. But I don't think Kimberly's met her yet. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God.
But
you're
hi,
gonna
JD.
adore her. She's like our own little personal fairy. She's so cute.
Aw. Aw.
She's so cute and so full of light and love. I just adore her. And she
Yeah.
cracks me up.
I love it.
Yeah, she's quite funny as well.
She's funny. Yeah, she's funny stuff. All right. Well, I guess this is probably a good place to wrap it up. What do you think, David?
Yep.
You're the expert. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. Are you there? Are you with us?
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anything you would like to say in wise parting
Awesome.
words?
In wise parting words, I think hold the line. We're in the thick of it now. I think it's going to get a lot more exciting. It may get a little worse, but I think ultimately it's going to be good.
Yes, I do too.
Yes. Well, I say no fear, stay grounded, stay connected to your heart center.
Love it. And I'm just going to say, live by the golden rule and do unto people as you would want them to do to you. And let's get through this shit together.
Yes.
Okay. So we, Kimberly and I, will see you again on Wednesdays for Wednesday Wisdom. And
Bye-bye.
and I'll see David again on my Sunday night is Monday. Right?
Yep.
Monday.
I will see you all. See you all very soon.
Yeah.
Bye, David.
All right.
Nice
Bye,
seeing
guys.
you.
Bye. Nice to meet you.